the very, very first thing when I read your form is we need to get you time back, because there is no way that you're going to be able to rebuild this in the way that you want to rebuild it if we don't change something, right? Your time is just being so consumed through delivery that if we don't stomp on this right now, it's going to cause you ongoing and worse problems. Okay, not to sound dramatic, but that's just the reality of it, and you would know that. Okay, so this is how I would recommend that you very, very quickly get a ton of clear air in your calendar so that you can actually focus on rebuilding, shifting how you sell, and focusing on recovering the revenue as opposed to spending all of your time on delivery calls. And I think if you do this, you shouldn't see too much pushback from clients, and they should still feel very, very served. It's just about setting stricter boundaries. Okay, so this is what I would recommend that you personally do immediately. Okay, so if you want my absolute brutally honest advice, do this like today. Okay, if you wait on this, you will come up with reasons why you can't do it, and you will talk yourself out of it because it will be a little bit scary. But if I was in your position, or I was advising any client, or even in one of my own businesses that I invest in or that I partner with, this would be my advice. Okay. First thing is you need to go and tell your clients that after doing all of these one-to-one calls for this many months, right, that you've been doing all these calls this many hours a day for this many months, you've noticed that a lot of the same questions are coming up again and again and again. Okay. And a better way for people to learn is in a collaborative, open discussion forum where you can resolve these problems together. Okay. And so instead of you just having an open calendar all day where you're explaining the same answers to the same questions again and again and again and again, you're going to be opening up a second group call each week. Okay. You can do this at the same time on a different day as your existing call. You can do it at a different time. Work out what fits best. But that's the very, very first thing that I would be doing. Okay. And then the rest of this flows off that. If they are unable to attend that call or any of the calls in a given week live, they're welcome to DM you in advance and you'll answer it for them on the call in detail. Or if it's a quick question, you can just reply to it in the DM directly. Okay. I would recommend that you keep the WhatsApp DM access because that is very, very high leverage and it's not filling up time in your calendar. How I would recommend that you manage that, and this is exactly how I manage mine, is I open up my Telegram, which is where I have my one-to-one clients and obviously the academy as well. And I check it once in the morning. After I've done kind of my own stuff, I go in and I knock out all of the questions, all of the responses and clear it for the day. And then I'm back into building mode. Okay. So keep this open. It's high leverage and tell them this is the core one-to-one channel now instead of the calls. Okay. You need to position this to them, but this is actually a better way to get results because they can get an answer quickly, like every day, rather than waiting however long for you to get on the phone. And if they want to be able to communicate in a slightly more personal way, they can use a tool like I'm using right now, like Loom, and they can create videos and you can review them. Right. That shouldn't be the default. The default should be just send me a quick message. Hey, what's your question? And let's move on from there. Okay. I would recommend that at the very least for your existing clients who you've likely sold this one-to-one call package to, that you implement something called a 911 emergency call option. Okay. And this is, depending on what we do with your offer, this will either be for just existing clients or we may actually look to roll this into the offer. But what I would do is I would create a simple either like a jock form like you filled out to when you join this program, or just even a Google form, any form software, and just have name. And you probably only need 2 questions. You probably just need name and what is your question. You may want to put a second one in there to like categorize it, like what is your question about, and then you could have say 2, 3, 4, 5 categories, just so it's kind of more structured. But I would just be having a form with at minimum just 2 questions: name and what is your challenge or question, right? And then what you can do, and they have to submit that. Okay, after they submit it, they can't book in the call yet. What's going to happen is that's going to get submitted, and then at the end of each day, you or your VA should go through any of the requests that have come in on that given day And you can either just answer that question directly via chat, which is going to be the case in so many situations. You can say, hey, I got your question. I think it's something that's best covered on the group call coming up on Tuesday. So be sure to come along. And if you can't, be sure to check out the replay because I'll answer this question in detail then. Or point them to a resource in the program. Okay. And I've said FAQ. This is going to be a next recommendation for you. So just hold vibe on that. And then only in the cases where it is absolutely necessary, send them a calendar link to book. Okay. So no more just having your calendar out there for people to book whenever they want. No more just open calls all day. They can DM you still. They can come to the extra call. Or if they can't get it answered through any of those channels, which is going to be such a limited situation, they have to fill out this form to potentially get access to a 911 emergency call. And that's only if, after going through that question, you can't just answer it via a chat or on the next group call. Okay, so this is going to take some compliance from their end, but it's going to take commitment from you to stick to this. Okay, you need to tell people, come to the group calls or DM me, right? And if they're asking for calls, you need to keep pushing it away and be like, look, no, let's just address this here. Okay, you need to change how you operate, and this is how you will free up a lot of spare time. Okay, so that's on the call front, right? So I'd be stopping them immediately, this like open-ended one-to-one call, and I'd be following this process here. All right. That should free up a ton of time very, very quickly. Okay. The next thing, and I would get your VA to do this like immediately. So these are two things I want you to action like today, if you can, at worst tomorrow. All right. From the time that you see this video. What I would get your VA to do is I would get them to download as many recordings as you can get your hands on from your group coaching calls and one-to-one calls with clients. I don't know if you record those or not, but if you do, get your VA to download as many of them as possible into a single folder. And then one by one, get them to go and upload them into some kind of AI transcript platform. Okay, I use a tool called Fireflies. There's heaps out there. But get them to upload them into a platform that can give you a transcript from those calls. Okay, then get all of those transcripts downloaded and get your VA to feed them into whatever AI tool you use. And if you don't use one, probably just go with ChatGPT. It's going to be the easiest. And tell the AI to study the transcripts in detail. Tell it to compile a list of the top 50 FAQs and corresponding answers in detail. Use only what is covered in the calls and do not add anything else, and write up a master FAQ, frequently asked questions document with all of this inside. Okay. The other thing that I forgot to mention up here is, in addition to the recordings, if you want to screenshot DM conversations with clients, you can feed that in as well. So what we're doing is we're giving you a ton of data about all of the questions that your clients ask, either in the DMs, on a one-to-one call, on a group call. We're telling it to analyze that and then come up with a master frequently asked questions document that answers all of these in one place. Okay. Then once that's been created by your VA, you should review it, tweak it as necessary to make sure that the answers are absolutely correct. If there's any obvious ones missing, you can add them in, and then go and give that to all of your existing clients and give it to every new client so that they can refer to it. Okay. Tell them that this is their initial reference point. Okay. If they can't see the question answered here, then they may come to you. All right. Again, so you can see what we're doing here is we're adding in filtration layers to reduce the number of questions that you get. And then by reducing the number of questions that you get, we'll reduce the number of people who need those 911 calls, which reduces the number of calls that ultimately flow into your calendar. Okay. If they ask you a question that you know is in the FAQ, tell them, go look at the FAQ. It's answered in there. All right. And then what I would start doing once a month, you can get your VA to do this, is download the coaching calls from that month and download any 911 calls that you had, put them into the AI to get the transcript, and then give AI those transcripts plus the master FAQ document and get it to, and ask it, hey, do we need to add any new ones? Are there any that we need to update? Is there anything missing? And what will happen over time is that will become such a robust Q&A document that it's going to answer so many questions, which reduces the number of messages that you're going to have to go back and forth sending with clients, and is going to reduce the number of calls, those 911 calls, even further. Okay. If you get into that habit, it will become very, very powerful. All right. Now, we'll also be able to use the data from this for marketing and for building out your Google Docs. So this is going to be a really, really important and valuable exercise that I would highly recommend that you get your VA to start on immediately. Okay. If you do these two things and you execute on them quickly, hopefully you can see that will free up a ton of time. Okay. Don't overthink it. Just go and do it. All right. You may get a little bit of backlash from clients, especially ones that have joined recently, if they were really like sold on the unlimited calls thing. But I think if you communicate it clearly and say, look, you've still got all these different ways to get support, and this is going to allow me to support you better. It's going to allow me more time to improve the program. It's going to allow me more time to build resources to help you. It'll be fine. Right. And it's going to be such a big change for you. And it can literally happen this week. Like, this isn't something that you need to wait months to. You can unlock this now. Okay. And honestly, if you and I did nothing else together, we will. But if you did nothing else and this is all you changed, this will have such a massive impact on your life and business that I'm confident you'll get your value even out just changing this. The amount of time you're about to get back and the amount of more capacity to reinvest into other areas, particularly marketing and sales, is going to be huge. Okay. And it's really not optional. You need to do this. You don't really have a choice at this point because you're maxed out. And if you want to scale, you have to, right? So you don't really have a choice. So just go and do it.